About 4 years ago, I started a company called Campus Bike. And I spent 3 months building a website and actually sourcing a product from China, getting it manufactured, getting it shipped all the way to Ames, Iowa. I spent a lot of time on the website. I was a website designer. I built custom e-commerce software. I spent at least a week finding the background, at least a week designing the copy in the bottom left. And at the end of the day, I only sold one scooter out of $10,000 worth of scooters that I bought. And I spent the next 3 months driving the scooters all around my college campus, one in front of the engineering building, one from the gym. I'd put a new sign on it every day, call me, oh no, buy now, just trying everything I could to get them to sell more scooters. And no matter what I could do, in 6 months, I couldn't get it to work. I called it a day. And the whole time I kind of thought I was one step away from being successful, but I just wasn't good enough of a salesman, or I didn't know how to run a business, or my friends that were working with me weren't committed enough, and I was blaming all these other things for my failure, but not really realizing the problem was the product in the first place. Recently, I actually tried to restart this business because I really wanted to learn how the methodology could change my approach. And using the validation board, I actually learned more in one day than I accomplished in an entire 6 months of running the business prior. And so I started off by defining my customer and problem hypotheses. My customer are people that are actually in the market for Vespa. And so I figured Vespa is the market leader. They make $8 billion in revenue a year, huge company, huge success. And I was actually living in New York at the time, so I've seen them all over the place. And the problem that I was trying to solve was that Vespas are gas-powered and it's bad for the environment. So the scooters that I was importing from China were actually electric scooters. So I defined some of my core assumptions, being that my customer cared about the environment, they cared about price because mine were cheaper, and they cared about the utility of just getting around with the scooter. So I decided on my riskiest assumption. My riskiest assumption was that my customer cared about the environment, did the exploration method, and we defined our minimum success criterion as 1 in 20 just admitting that they have this problem. So what did we do? We threw up a Craigslist ad, and I just took about 20 minutes. I took the photo from another Craigslist ad and put it on my Craigslist ad. I changed the price to be significantly lower so that more people would call us, and we posted that online. Every 20 minutes, my phone started to ring, and people were calling me. And when I pick up the phone, I go, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'd say, "Well, why are you buying a scooter?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I used to study abroad in Italy, and I had a really good time there, and I rode a Vespa there, so now I want to get one." Another guy would be like, "My wife has one, and she's always riding it, and I feel left out, so I want to get one." And nobody mentioned any concern for the environment. Actually, we asked people point blank, out of 20 people, I said, "Do you care about the environment?" And every people were just like, "No." Telling a stranger on the phone, "No, I don't care about the environment." One person went so far as to say, and I'll never forget this, "All I want to do is wear a skinny tie and ride a Vespa." And that threw me for a loop, and I never expected that. And it kind of shocked me, and it caused me to realize that, hey, people are actually interested in the lifestyle element of owning a Vespa. It has nothing to do with the concern for the environment. So, actually after the call, I apologized to people because it was a fake ad and I didn't have a Vespa, and so I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry for wasting your 5 minutes, but I don't have a Vespa," and I was actually running an experiment to test my business. And people were just like, "Okay, it's cool. Talk to you later, I'm gonna call someone else." And it was weird because I expected people to be angry with me, but the truth is that we're so bored every day that when something weird happens to us, we actually really enjoy it, and we actually are glad that happened to us and that we are thrown out of our normal state of being. And so, people are like, "Oh, it's cool, and I'm gonna go tell my wife what happened." So that whole experiment, talking to 20 people, posting the Craigslist ad, only took 24 hours. And out of 20 people, it was a clear signal that no one cared about the environment. And I spent 6 months trying to push that business, and it couldn't have been more clear if I just ran that experiment. But after that risky assumption was invalidated, we didn't stop there. We spent the next day trying to figure out something that would really work. So we pivoted, and we redefined our customer problem and solution hypotheses. That we noticed by going around the city that there were scooters parked sort of on the avenues and the edges of Manhattan, because to get to that area for work, it's actually kind of difficult. There's not really good subway access, good bus access, so it makes sense that if you work on the edges of Manhattan, you would buy a scooter to get to work. But we also noticed that there were people that lived in areas that worked in areas where they had difficult commute, but they didn't own a Vespa. we thought, hey, that's kind of weird. Why don't they just get a Vespa? It'd be really, really easy for them to get around, and it'd be useful for them. To find our customers, people that don't yet have a Vespa, but have a difficult commute. And the problem we defined as they actually didn't have knowledge of a Vespa because we talked to a lot of people and they said, the reason I'm getting a Vespa is because I have a friend that has one. So they had that existing knowledge. We assumed that these people had never maybe ridden one, maybe they didn't know if it was safe or not, so there could be these obstacles in awareness. And we defined the solution as an opportunity to try it. So maybe we would spread awareness about Vespas, get people to try it out, and then they would buy one. We defined our core assumptions as that people lacked awareness and that people didn't have a friend that had a Vespa, because we found that was a common thread. So the riskiest assumption was that people did not have a friend that had a Vespa. We defined the method as exploration again, and the success criterion as 7 out of 10 must fit this description of having a difficult commute to work and not having a friend that has a Vespa. So we started to interview people. We went out to people, we had a bunch of reasons why a Vespa would be awesome, we had a bunch of research about it, and we'd sit them down and talk to them. And it was interesting because people were a little bit uncomfortable with the questions that we were asking them. They would kind of sit with their legs folded like this, and they would kind of like move away when we were asking them questions. We'd go up and say, hey, do you know that a Vespa could be really good for you for these reasons? You'd save money in the long term because you wouldn't have a subway card, you'd save time. Actually people who ride Vespas have a longer lifespan, funny enough. And people would be like, I don't know, I'm not interested. You're right, but I don't know if I'm a scooter person. And we honed in on that comment, like, not a scooter person. Well, it's interesting. We honed in on that, and at the basic level, that experiment was invalidated. So we knew that the friend element was not important to owning a Vespa. And that idea of like, hey, people don't know if they're a scooter person, and these other people are really set on wearing skinny ties. Well, there's this whole lifestyle element that we're not looking at. And actually, that lifestyle, it's kind of like a hipster lifestyle. To get comfortable with that, it doesn't fit everybody. And to buy a Vespa is at least $3,000. That's a huge investment if it doesn't fit your lifestyle. On the upper end, it could be up to $8,000 to buy a Vespa. So we kept the same customer type, but we pivoted the problem. The problem was not that they lacked awareness about Vespas and scooters, because they had the awareness, but they weren't comfortable with the lifestyle of being a hipster wearing a skinny tie. So we redefined our solution as a way to rent a scooter for a month. If you could rent it for a month and try it out, then you would be able to figure out if you could actually be that hipster wearing the skinny tie. So our core assumptions were that people were lifestyle challenged and that they would pay at least $250 a month, because we figured we had to have a business model on this. And they would pay $250 a month is what we decided to do the riskiest assumption. We used the pitch method, and we said, hey, we want to get 15 people to sign up on this landing page in 2 hours. So this is the landing page that we designed. Rent this Vespa for $250 a month, and if you love it, buy it at a discounted price. Buy now button that would actually just lead to a coming soon page. As you can see, we used a Vespa, and it's starting at $4,500, right? It's pretty expensive. But you can rent it for $250 a month. It looks sexy, and when they click through, just go to a coming soon button with filter information. And it looked real. It looked like a real business that was existing now. This only took us a couple hours to do. So the response that we got from this was incredible. We had 50 people sign up in 2 hours, and not only that, they were typing in all caps on the coming soon page. They were like, I want this right now, give me this, like, here's my phone number, call me right away, I've been looking at this forever. And we had people tweeting at us, everything. We got a ton of positive feedback. We even went back to the person who was sitting cross-legged and was like turning away from us, and we're like, hey man, if you're not sure if you're a scooter person, how about you just try it for a month for $250 and return it if it doesn't work for you? And we had people jumping out of the guy jumped out of his seat. He was like, wow, give me this right now. This is amazing. I never thought of this. And so we had the feedback of 50 people signing up in 2 hours, of people typing in all caps on the coming soon form, and of people jumping out of their seats. And so we knew that we were onto something. We validated this riskiest assumption. And this whole process took us 2 days to do. Whereas I spent 6 months working on one product that was clearly not working. I wouldn't listen to market feedback. And so at the end of the day, this was a learning experience for me. I didn't continue to do this business, but for me, it showed the power of this process. I wish you the best of luck using this process for your own product or business idea.